What's up YouTube, Trashy here, and we are back with more tips and tricks for Stardew Valley. Today we're going to talk about some pro tips that you can use around the valley to make your playthrough a little bit easier. From hidden books to time-saving tips, this video contains a plethora of information that I've gathered over my 1,000 hours of gameplay, as well as some tips that you, the community, have told me about. Brief side note, I am recovering from being sick, so I apologise for how my voice sounds today. Now, giving Stardew Valley advice is like one of my favourite things to do in the entire world. But it's important that you remember that I'm just a person on the internet and you don't actually have to listen to me at all. I mean, I would love if you watched my videos and found some useful information, but at the end of the day, there is no wrong way to play Stardew Valley. Play however you want, as long as you're having fun. That's really all that matters. Now keep in mind going forward that this video is absolutely going to contain late game spoilers, so watch at your own discretion. With that being said, and in no particular order, here are 36 pro tips for Stardew Valley. We all know that one of the most annoying items to get for the community center is the red cabbage. So annoying, in fact, that there's a whole option to guarantee that it appears for sale at the traveling cart during year 1. However, this only guarantees red cabbages being sold on one day. So if you miss it, you will have to wait until summer of year 2 to buy the seeds. Or do you? Once you've unlocked the bus stop and you gain access to Skull Cavern, you also gain access to these little bundles of despair, also known as serpents. They have a small chance to drop red cabbage seeds, as well as a plethora of other useful items. You can farm the first floor for these bad boys and get your cabbage seed early in year 1 if you unlock the bus stop quickly enough. If you can get to Skull Cavern by the first half of summer, you can get yourself a red cabbage seed ready to plant during your first year. We've mentioned before that exiting and re-entering the mines resets the floors. However, if a floor is infested, it will remain infested for the remainder of the day, no matter how many times that you reset. So, if you manage to find yourself an infested floor right after an elevator, you can exit and re-enter as many times as you want. This is great for increasing your combat skill, but can also be an amazing way to fast-track your way to unlocking the Slime Charmer ring, which requires slaying a total of 1,000 slimes. This method is especially useful if you drink Monster Musk for double monster spawns and have a burglar ring for even more loot drops. For the longest time, I thought that the wicked statue recipe that you can buy from Krobus was just a creepy decoration, but it turns out that it actually has multiple uses. If you've chosen the wilderness farm, or you've enabled monster spawns using the statue in the witch's hut, the eyes on any wicked statues on your farm will actually glow red and they will shake for a second or two when a monster spawns. It's incredibly creepy. Briefly going back to slimes, if you spent ages raising a hutch full of colourful slimes and you're worried about the witch cursing them and turning them all black, you can put a wicked statue down inside a hutch to prevent this from happening. Okay, I lied when I said that we were briefly going back to slimes because I have more to say. Now this tip isn't necessarily useful, well it's actually not really useful at all, but it's fun. You can hatch slimes in incubators around the valley wherever you want and they will just hang out and even become part of the town. Of course, you will need the Slime Charmer ring to not get pummeled by these little guys as you run around town, but it is a great way to add a little more colour and life to the valley. Now, I am ashamed to admit that I just recently found this one out, but if you play Stardew Valley on PC, you can just tap the delete key while holding any item in your inventory to get rid of it. This is an absolute game changer for me because I spend forever dragging stuff to the bin like a nerd. I've mentioned in previous videos that Robin and Marnie's penchant for taking days off can get pretty annoying, especially considering how I always end up needing them on a Tuesday. And you probably already know that you can buy Marnie's animal catalogue starting in year 2 to access her shop whenever it's open, even if she isn't there. But did you know that you can also force Robin to work on Tuesdays? Just pop a rain totem on a Monday and instead of visiting Caroline, Robin decides to stay home and open her shop. If you find yourself in need of lots of fibre, instead of farming it all up during green rain days, you can trade fibre for stone at the desert trader on Tuesdays, or you can just farm level 81 of the mines. Leaving the mines and re-entering resets the floors, so I did this for an entire in-game day and came out with almost 300 fibre at literally no cost other than my time. Most people know that you can use stones and explosive ammo in the Slingshot and Master Slingshot, but did you know that you can use a bunch of other things too? You can use every type of ore aside from radioactive ore, with iridium ore doing up to 200 damage. You can also use vegetables and fruits. However, my personal favourite is using the slingshot to shoot eggs at villagers that I don't like. Get egged, Pierre. If you tailor the mayor's lucky shorts using a gold bar, you get a wearable pair of lucky shorts. But did you know that if you complete the Mayor's Shorts quest by waiting until you've unlocked Ginger Island and giving him a pair of wearable trimmed lucky shorts while he's on the island, he will actually be wearing these shorts every time he visits the beach for the next 28 days. This is maybe one of my favorite hidden things in the game. You can also pop Lewis's shorts into the tackle slot on your fishing rod and you will unlock a lucky purple shorts bobber. If you place his shorts into the first slot of an advanced iridium rod, the second tackle becomes infinite and never runs out of uses. This is incredibly useful. Now you may be thinking, but Trashy, I want to do all of these weird things with Mayor Lewis's underwear, but there's only one pair in Marnie's bedroom. Well, I have good news for you, I think. If you get 2 hearts with Mayor Lewis, you gain access to his bedroom. You might be thinking, oh, I can just go to his dresser and steal them from there, right? Wrong. What you're going to want to do is craft yourself a staircase, pop it down on the ground, and you will gain access to Lewis's basement. If you follow this maze of crates and barrels all the way to the end, you will find his lucky shorts in a totally not concerning spot at all. Careful though, because taking these shorts spawns a sentient pair of invincible shorts that just keep coming after you. You can't damage them and they hit super hard, so either bring some food with you or a farm teleport totem to make a quick escape. You can come back here at any time by using another staircase and get yourself unlimited lucky shorts to use in whatever nefarious way that you want. After the Stardew Valley Fair on Fall 16th, lanterns will appear in the graveyard and jack-o'-lanterns pop up outside certain houses. You can go around and use your pickaxe on the jack-o'-lanterns to steal them, and you can also pick up the lanterns in the graveyard. Don't worry, I'm sure stealing from the dead is totally fine and won't have any consequences at all. When winter rolls around and the Feast of the Winter Star is getting close, you can leave milk and cookies out on winter 24th, and the next day they will have been replaced with a couple of mystery boxes. This works with milk, large milk, goat's milk and large goat's milk and cookies. However, I tried it with multiple combinations, but it seems that you only get 1 gift for cookies and 1 gift for milk. Now, Stardew Valley 1.6 added a bunch of new books to the game that give you different powers, and one of them is pretty well hidden. If you head to this area with an axe and a pickaxe that have been upgraded to at least steel, you can clear out the log and stone in the way to find a majestic golden trash can. Inside this can, you find the alleyway buffet, which increases your chances of finding items in garbage cans by a whopping 20%. Speaking of trash, if you're completing Linus's community cleanup order or you just really like trash, hi, using a training rod in the mines is guaranteed to yield only trash items. Now, you probably already know that Marlon runs an item recovery service at the Adventurers Guild where you can pick 1 stack of items to recover if you get knocked unconscious and lose some of your inventory. Recovering items costs whatever the item itself would sell for. But did you know that if you slay at least 150 magma sprites or sparkers, these little glowing balls of destruction, you unlock access to Marlon's phone number, which allows you to use the item recovery service from the comfort of your own home. Plus, if you slay 1,000 monsters in total, you gain access to the back room of the Adventurers Guild, where you can find a book called Mapping Cave Systems. Once read, this book gives you a 50% discount on the cost of the recovery service. So, I always thought that growing giant crops was kind of useless. They look cool, but what's the point if you have to harvest them at the end of the season? Well, it turns out that I was wrong. They don't actually die out when the seasons change, including the special key fruit giant crop. You can plan out your farm and keep these crops as decoration all year round. Unfortunately, you can't grow them on Ginger Island, but hopefully this will be changed in version 1.7 because it would be really cool to be able to decorate the island with them. Speaking of crops, once you gain access to Krobus in the sewers, he sells 1 iridium sprinkler every Friday for 10,000 gold. If you're not a fan of the Skull Cavern but still want to get your hands on the best sprinklers, this could be a good start. And speaking of the Skull Cavern, I have a beginner's guide as well as a late game guide that you can check out in the description below. Fiber seeds grow in any season and also don't need to be watered. This makes them the perfect crop for planting in between seasons to make sure your soil stays tilled, fertilized and watered. You can time it to harvest them on the first day of the next season, which is easily done in winter, or simply accept the small loss and get rid of them with your pickaxe to plant your seasonal crops. It's worth it, especially for keeping your ground fertilized throughout the seasons. However, harvesting large amounts of fiber is probably one of the most satisfying things that you can do in this game. Speaking of fertilizers, you can buy Deluxe Speed Grow from Sandy on Thursdays as soon as you unlock the desert instead of from Pierre, who starts selling it at a much higher price in year 2 and is also a dirty little scammer. However, the best fertilizer in the entire game is Deluxe Retaining Soil, which keeps soil watered overnight every night. You can buy the recipe for this soil from the Island Trader on Ginger Island for 50 cinder shards, and it is ridiculously cheap to craft. Seriously, it's just 5 stone, 3 fiber and 1 clay. This fertilizer is permanent unless you get rid of it in garden pots, the greenhouse, and on Ginger Island. And if you use the fiber seed method that we just mentioned, make sure to plant your crop the same day that you harvest so that the fertilizer stays. You probably know that it's best to harvest hay towards the end of fall, as you'll need as much as you can get for your animals over the winter. And it doesn't spread at all and produces less hay during winter. However, if you want a massive explosion of grass on your farm, plant some grass starters around the entire place on the very last day of the year, and on spring 1st, they will have grown massively. This means that you can basically chop it all at the end of fall and then simply restock your farm. Now, this next tip might be a silly one, but a few people have told me that they didn't know that this was a thing. When buying animals from Marnie, you can actually make sure that you get the variation of chicken that you want, such as brown or white, when purchasing the animal. It will say at the top of the screen what type of chicken it is. Just exit the screen without buying it and go through the process again until you get the color that you want. This is also how you buy blue chickens after seeing Shane's 8 Heart event. Winter is the perfect time to stock up on tree seeds of all kinds. As you know, trees can spread seeds around them up to 3 squares away, which can be quite annoying when you're setting up a tapping farm and they start to grow everywhere. This is easily solved by placing down flooring around the bottom of your trees, but in winter, you should remove this flooring entirely. During winter, normal tree seeds don't grow unless fertilized, but fully grown trees keep producing them. This means that you can rack up a bunch of extra seeds from the ground without worrying about explosive tree growth everywhere. Speaking of trees, this next tip is something that I genuinely thought somebody made up the first time that I heard about it. When lightning hits a fruit tree, instead of destroying it like normal trees, it turns into a cold tree. Now, in my 1,000+ hours of playing this game, I had never seen this happen. So, of course, I had to do some extensive testing to see if it was true. And by extensive testing, I mean starting a new farm, clearing out the entire thing, getting a bunch of fruit trees, and waiting for a storm. And it's true. Any fruit tree struck by lightning turns into a cold tree for a few days and then goes back to normal. Ironically, I feel like I increased my carbon footprint by a lot here. If you didn't know, you can change your bobber using this machine here in the corner of Willie's shop. The bobbers that you can use depend on how many fish that you've caught, and my personal favourite is the rubber duck because just look at it, it's adorable. You can select the dice at the bottom to randomise your bobber for some surprises, although it can lead to some concerning moments such as throwing your cat into lava. Also, in case you didn't know, you can adjust the direction that you cast your line in by holding down left or right as you cast it. This can be useful for reaching those awkwardly placed fishing bubbles. Sometimes it can be hard to choose from all the wonderful bachelors and bachelorettes in the valley, and you might find yourself dating more than one of them, or all of them. If you date all 6 bachelors or bachelorettes at the same time, why stop there though, and see each of their 10 heart cutscenes, when you enter either the saloon for the bachelors or Emily's house for the bachelorettes, you will get a cutscene where they basically all dump you. However, you can avoid this happening if you carry a rabbit's foot on you when you enter either Emily's house or the saloon. If you have a rabbit's foot, you will get a friendly cutscene and nobody will be any the wiser. If you go to this area here on the last day of any season and click on this bush at exactly 12 PM, you will get a massive Junimo plushie. You can find a secret note that tells you about this spot, but this is one of the few secrets that you don't actually have to have read the note to get. You can just go ahead and grab it on the start of your first spring if you want. You probably already know that you can sell your fruits and veggies to Pierre and your fish to Willie rather than throwing it all in the shipping bin and having to wait until the next day. But did you know that you can also sell your extra shoes, weapons, trinkets and monster drops to Marlin at the Adventurers Guild? No longer do you just have to bin the extra weapons that you get or clog up an entire chest with them, you can just sell them straight to Marlin. When you cook in your kitchen, it pulls from any ingredients that you have in your fridge and in any mini fridges inside your house to make the recipe, no matter where they are. However, when cooking, it will pull items from your inventory first. Remember this when making sashimi, because accidentally cooking a legendary fish and having to restart your entire day is not fun, trust me. If you've completed Mr. Key's Danger in the Deep quest, you can activate the dangerous mines at any time by using the shrine on floor 120. This version of the mines can be pretty brutal, so definitely go prepared, but it also has some great endgame resources such as radioactive ore. However, I like to use the dangerous mines to farm hardwood. Levels 40 to 50 can spawn hardwood trees and stumps. So I like to take a day to just go to floor 45, chop what I see, then use the elevator to go to floor 40, check floor 41, exit and repeat. I did this for an entire day and came out with almost 300 hardwood. Now let's talk about a late game item that you can buy from Key's shop, the Deconstructor. On my first few playthroughs, I basically ignored this item altogether, but it turns out that it's one of the best items in the entire game. When you place a crafted item inside the Deconstructor, it will give you back the most valuable material used in the recipe. For example, if you were to put an iridium sprinkler in a Deconstructor, you would get an iridium bar back. Technically, this means that you can indirectly purchase resources. Like we mentioned earlier, if you really hate the Skull Cavern and don't want to grind for iridium but you still need bars, you can purchase one sprinkler a week from Krobus and turn it into an iridium bar. In the same vein, if you really need stone but you don't want to go out and grind for it, you can trade jades to the desert trader for staircases on Sundays and then deconstruct them for 99 stone each. Now, my personal go-to favourite for the Deconstructor is defeated cork bobbers, which you can buy from Willy for 250 gold each. Cork bobbers break down into 5 hardwood, which means you're essentially paying 50 gold per hardwood, which is the same price that Robin sells wood for starting at year 2. If you're late game and you need a lot of hardwood but don't want to have to wait for your trees to grow or go to the dangerous mines, deconstructing cork bobbers can take a minute, but it is worth it. One last thing that I want to mention about the Deconstructor is that it can help you out of a pretty niche situation. Sometimes the RNG just does not RNG and you end up not finding a single ancient seed in your entire run. But you might happen to find an ancient seed package when using your seed makers, as they have a pretty small chance of producing one. However, you need an actual ancient seed artifact to donate to the museum and get the recipe in the first place. If this sounds familiar to you, just pop the seed package that you got from your seed maker into a Deconstructor and you will get the artifact for the museum. And when you donate it, you will get another seed package for free. The hopper is another machine that you can buy from Keys Shop and it is a pretty big game changer. Anything that you place into the hopper will be loaded into the machine in front of it if it's compatible. I like to place hoppers behind my furnaces and load them with all of my ore and coal. This saves on both storage and time because you don't have to carry ore and coal back and forth between your chests and your hoppers. Just collect the bars when they're ready and more will start cooking as long as the hopper is stocked. You can also set up a hopper alongside a Deconstructor to speed the process up a bit. Pop everything you want to deconstruct into a hopper and it will keep working as you collect the materials. If you're trying to catch every fish in the game, magic bait can be bought from Keys Shop and it allows you to catch any fish regardless of season, weather and time, including legendary fish. You can even fish in the area at the beach here to catch the weird little guys that are usually only available during the night market. If you've unlocked Ginger Island and fixed up the beach resort, you've probably noticed that everyone's schedule gets all messed up and the NPCs start visiting the island. This is easily fixed by heading on over to this sign here and simply closing the resort. I usually keep it closed all year round, aside from the brief period where you can make Mayor Lewis wear his lucky underwear. Once you've upgraded your house, you can age wine in casks in your basement. But you can actually fill this entire room with casks if you want to maximize the space. Once everything has aged to wherever you want it to be, you can use a fully charged iridium hoe to collect both your wine and your casks when they're ready, and then just rinse and repeat. We all know the age-old method of trading 3 prismatic shards to the desert trader to get a magic rock candy, the food with the best luck buff of the entire game, but the raccoons that live in the stump also sell them. If you complete 6 requests for the raccoons, these little guys will start selling you as many magic rock candies as you want, if you trade them 20 golden mystery boxes per candy. Now, golden mystery boxes can only be found after you've achieved foraging mastery, and while 20 might sound like a lot, it's really not that hard to achieve. You can find golden mystery boxes by doing various activities around the valley, but slaying monsters in the mines is by far the quickest way. With a burglar ring for double loot drops, monster musk for double monster spawns, and having read the monster compendium for a chance at even more loot drops, I went to the mines and grinded levels 40 to 60, and I came out with 8 golden mystery boxes in just one day. Just a few days of grinding and you have yourself a magic rock candy, or a bunch of mystery boxes to open. And there you have 36 of my favorite Stardew Valley tips and tricks. This game just keeps on giving and I cannot wait to see what Concerned Ape does with the 1.7 update. Let me know in the comments if you have any pro tips of your own, if I made any mistakes, and who your favorite Stardew Valley NPC is. And if anybody says Pierre, they're going on a list. You can join our community Discord in the description below, or follow me over on Twitch where I go live a few times a week playing a bunch of different games. I would love it if you stop by to say hello. I apologize again for my voice in this video, and my hat goes off to you for making it through the entire thing. I hope you all have the most wonderful day. Don't forget to drink water, and I will catch y'all in the next video. Okay, love you, bye!